Oh boy, that's right. I'm back with another AEW review. This time, I'm taking a look at that great, sweet, beautiful, cherry bottom AEW Rampage, their hour-long program on Friday. And I'm not gonna lie, watching this, it wasn't the worst program I'd seen. It was, for me, in terms of put togetherness, definitely a lot better than Dynamite was. And I think the biggest complaint I can have is the way the show is presented. They had three matches with a bunch of backstage stuff that was obviously filmed at a different time, either previously or you could tell it was filmed at a different time. But I guess let's just go and get it started with the very beginning. The first match of the night was Katsuyori Shibata versus Orange Cassidy. And I said this on my Dynamite review that I just don't know who the fuck Katsuyori Shibata is. I mean, maybe if they could let you in on the inside joke or something, but this guy to me was just coming out here and it's being quoted as a dream match. Just didn't make any fucking sense to me, really. If you know who he is, that's good for you, but for people who aren't watching this show weekly or monthly, or apparently this guy was out 5 years ago with a head injury, um, you don't know who this is, and it's being quoted as a dream match. So, I mean, if this guy's coming back from a big injury, I mean, why have the match right away? Why not fucking he makes his debut and then you give a little backstage and he talks about coming back or something? I don't know. Hyping up this quote unquote dream match. Don't just say it's a dream match and put it on next minute. It just doesn't make sense to me. But they start the match and they bring out Mike Tyson as their guest commentator. And I mean, that's really cool, but I don't think that that's the spot that you want to put Tyson in because he didn't he doesn't say anything and he was just sitting there and he would just make little remarks that you could just tell that he didn't know what he was doing. And that's nothing against him. It's just that's a position that maybe he's not comfortable with. Is Tyson really comfortable calling a match or hyping up a match like that? I don't think so, but he was pretty funny on commentary for most of the night, and I like that. And again, the commentators are really hyping up the fact that Katsuyori Shibata, he's been out for 5 years with an injury, a head injury of some sort, and he's only wrestled twice between this point, between the 5 year hiatus. He's only wrestled twice, so this is like, I guess, technically his third match back. And I mean, good for him. Like I said, after watching this match, I didn't think that he was like the worst wrestler I've ever seen. I think that he was pretty good for most of it. But so he comes out, and his entrance music, I just have to say, is a little different. I wouldn't expect his entrance music to sound like that. So Orioff on, for me, just kind of looking at it, the package, I'm not really seeing what is a dream match about this. Next, Cassidy comes out. I have to be honest, I don't get the hype around Orange Cassidy. I have watched some of his matches before this, and I never really thought and been like, wow, this guy is incredibly good. I'll say this. I think he's really good at being able to call spots in a match. I think he's able to put together a match that is very choreographed, but I've never watched anything that seems organic come out of this man. And it's kind of sad because I do think he's pretty athletic and he knows what he's doing. And definitely in this match, he put his fucking body through some torture. But one thing I do notice, why isn't he wearing the title? This All Atlantic title that's supposed to be prestigious. Why is he carrying around in a backpack? And as he enters the ring, he just tosses the backpack in there. It's like, doesn't even seem like the championship is important. Like I said on my Dynamite review, everyone has a championship. Doesn't seem important. Obviously, the guy's just throwing the title in the fucking ring, so I don't think he even thinks it's important. I think he just looks at it as a prop. And so for the beginning of this match, they do. I really hate this. They just do this trading forearm bullshit, and it just. I get it. They're just trying to get the crowd hyped up. It's a spot. Like I said, I think Orange Cassidy and this guy obviously can make a lot of spots. But for me, when I watch a match, I'm just tired of these guys doing the come together and just kind of hit each other forearms. punches. It just looks stupid, or trading chops. It just, ugh. I really don't like it. And they do this outside bullshit for a little bit where I think it was Katsuyori, he throws Cassidy into like all the barricades, and I do notice one thing. Those barricades like do not hold anything, and it just kind of looks it to me. It looks less than, but again, they're trying to get everyone worked up, and then they're getting ready to go to the break. Excalibur on the commentary, he is god awful on that. He's always hyping up. Always seems like he's yelling. It just nothing that he ever says or does just seems like it adds to the match. Like he's not adding anything. Like I said, when he's talking about that 5-year hiatus that Katsuyori is on, or that he was on, I didn't feel anything when he said it. It just sounded like he was just saying things just to say them. There's no emotion behind it, and his only other emotion is being able to say what he's saying normal at a normal tone, and then screaming it. And he has zero timing, or AEW has zero timing, because as they're getting ready to go into the break, it's like he gets through like towards the end of what he's trying to say, and then he kicks it into like a higher gear and starts saying it super fast. So they really got to start either planning this out, or I guess writing a script for this guy. Something. Because if he's doing this all on his own and they're just letting him do it, he needs to figure it out. He needs to figure it out. Another spot that they do is where both Katsuyori and Orange Cassidy are sitting in the middle of the ring, and for me, for a second, I was looking at it, and it looked like they were playing patty cake, and then Orange Cassidy is like begging for Katsuyori Shibata to slap him, and I'm not joking, when he slaps him, I laughed my ass off, because it was like, I don't know if Cassidy was expecting this fact, but literally Katsuyori Shibata fucking smacks the spit out of Orange Cassidy's mouth, and it was awesome. Again, Tyson is great on the commentary. He's asking the rest of the commentators a name of a move, and it was just a regular old suplex. He's like, "What's the name of that?" Thought that was great. Yeah, so they're just beating the shit out of each other. And again, I'm just gonna say this: Orange Cassidy, I think he has great athleticism, but every time Katsuyori hits him with a big move, he's like getting up almost directly after. There's no like, ah, man, he's beating the shit out of me, so I'm selling. It's taking me a little bit longer to get up, and like because as you're watching the match, they're building up to the fact that Katsuyori Shibata is like a badass. At the end of it, it took Orange Cassidy to hit him with 2 of his finishes in order to put him down. So it's like, I wish that he would understand to build that up. You also have to sell his moves and actually take the time. Get up a little bit longer. Act like what he did is hurting you and sell that, even if it is taking a little bit longer. I don't think time is an issue in this match. I mean, there's only 3 matches on the card. So, and there's a match after this that I definitely think that they probably should have cut short. They could have given more time to these guys. But, yeah. So, like I said, they build up the match to basically have Katsuyori take 2 orange punches for Orange Cassidy to put him away. And just kind of like let people know that Katsuyori, he's basically someone that you're not just going to be able to steamroll. You're going to have a decent enough match with him. So, overall, this match, I mean, I put a thumbs in the middle just because I think there's just some spots in there that I don't care if you have spots. I don't care if you think about them. I don't care if before the match you want to say, hey, I want to put this in here. My thing is when the whole match seems like you guys are talking in the back about it. Okay, we're going to do this. Then we're going to do that. Then we're going to do this. Then you're going to do this. Then you're going to do that. I don't find myself getting invested in the match like that. And to me, when you do that, you take away from that. You take away from what you can do in the ring, because people already think wrestling is fake, and then you do this shit. It really just makes it seem more fake. It just people, like I said, like when I look at it, I don't get invested in it because it's like, God, I just wish you would listen to what these people want. I just wish you would hear what these people want, and just do what these people want. And I know that in AEW, their whole thing is like nothing is scripted. And I bet there are some things that they script out, and I bet there are some things they don't. But learn how to call a match or call spots in the ring. But anyway, so the next up, they have a backstage with Toni Storm, and I thought that she delivered a pretty good promo. And she's talking about her upcoming match with Jamie Hayter. Tony's talking about how her and Hater were such great friends during the pandemic and how they were both homeless during it, and that she doesn't understand how Jamie Hayter became this kind of ugly person, so to say. And she adds in a little remark about Britt Baker, and she's saying that Britt Baker is just using Hayter. She doesn't understand why she just does everything that Baker wants. And when I hear that, two thoughts are going to happen for their match. Either Jamie is going to go over Tony and win the belt, and that's going to cause the rift between Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter, since they already kind of had like a falling out, but then Hayter came out, still decided to join up. They did the whole Daniel Garcia, Chris Jericho, Bryan Danielson fucking thing, but they did it previously with Jamie Hayter and Britt Baker. So my thing is, number one, Hayter wins. That's when Baker is like going to take that opportunity to either, you could only hope that it'd be like a slow build of jealousy or whatever. Like, people want to interview her, not Britt Baker. So then it kind of builds up to that. Or Britt Baker is going to do the whole stop her from winning and then play it off like, I didn't mean to do that. And then that is what's going to cause those two to break up and then have a match, which I think either or could be good storytelling. I personally would like option number one because I think that would be more interesting, and also it gets new blood in that women's title area and just kind of a young up-and-comer kind of just get that one shot. She doesn't have to be champ for fucking 8 months or whatever, but anyway. So then they go to the break. They come back, and there's another backstage segment, and this time it's with Claudio, Bryan Danielson, and William Regal, and they're talking about how they're sick of Chris Jericho's attitude and how he's treating the Ring of Honor title, and, Claudio's like, oh, hey, you keep having an open challenge, for it, and I'm a former Ring of Honor champion, so just give me another shot, or give me a shot. I haven't had my rematch yet. And then Danielson's like, no, give me a rematch, and honestly, I think this is just boring. Like, there should be no reason why Claudio and Danielson are chasing Chris Jericho with the Ring of Honor title. I think that they would be better off going after, I don't know, TNT title maybe? The All-Atlantic? Claudio could wrestle for that, right? You can put these guys in different angles, and I understand they're trying to build that Ring of Honor thing, but I'm sorry, I don't think people fucking give a shit. People don't care. You might as well just start treating your Dark Elevation to put the Ring of Honor guys on there and make shows out of that where they have the titles. They take those Ring of Honor titles. Maybe you just change the names to this is like the AEW Dark title. I don't know. But right now, whatever you're doing with the Ring of Honor thing, you're bogging down some of your top guys that should be in the top guy, and not this fucking bullshit with Ring of Honor that no one fucking cares about. Because at this point, that title, the world title, the Ring of Honor world title, doesn't fucking mean anything to me. Doesn't mean anything to anybody either. And I don't think it will, unless you're just some internet wrestling fan. I'm sorry to say it like that, but if you're just into the internet wrestling and you're just into fucking commenting on YouTube videos and being in forums, yeah, you're probably shitting your fucking pants over this. But everybody else who's a wrestling fan doesn't think that Bryan Danielson and Claudio Castagnoli should be going after some fucking shitty second afterthought title. So, with that being said, this next match should have taken the time off and given it to Orange Cassidy and Shibata. But apparently they think that Jamie Hayter and Britt Baker need to have a full-on fucking match with two girls, Sky Blue and Madison Rayne, that didn't even get an entrance on this fucking show. They think that they need to have a competitive match with these two. Or just have a match that isn't a squash match in general. Because what's the best way to, if you're going to have Britt Baker turn on Jamie Hayter, what's the best way? Have them fucking dominate people in a fucking 5-minute match. Boom, dominate. The other girls don't get any chance to beat them. They're just absolutely dominating. No, let's just go and have them have a match. Because, you got to show how strong they are. Because you haven't spent, the past 3 weeks? Hayter's been having singles matches looking pretty freaking good. So I guess we have to have a tag match just to really just show it that, yeah, look how tough these two are. Honestly, when you look at it, it's like when you see Jamie Hayter hooking up in a wrestling match with Sky Blue, they're like close to the same height, but Jamie Hayter in physique looks like that she would squish Sky Blue's head with one of her forearms. She looks like she could just absolutely destroy Sky Blue. But she's in there fucking selling for this nobody. And if you know who she is, I don't know who she is. She didn't even get a fucking entrance. And she's sitting here having a fucking competitive match. And Hayter and Britt are tagging back and forth, just beating the shit out of Sky Blue. Sometimes Sky Blue gets a little bit of offense, but it's always kind of thwarted. But they basically keep Sky Blue in and they keep Madison Rayne out. And nobody's getting excited for this. Because like I said, I don't think anyone wants to see these two tag teams, these four women, have a match. I think they want to see Hayter and Britt just absolutely destroy and then move on with the story. Again, they try to have a match, and they're trying to build the hot tag for Sky Blue. And Sky Blue finally gets the tag. And, I mean, like, at this point, I feel kind of bad. Because when Madison Rayne comes out, there's not even a fucking reaction. No one's even going, yeah! I mean, maybe like a half-hearted, like, all right, we know where this is going because we've watched wrestling a million times. And she comes in and she does the hot tag, gets in some good moves. Nobody's reacting, you know? And not only that, but you also have your top female talent working with these undercard talents, doing these weird spots that are also just one step behind. After the match, Britt Baker, she cuts a promo. She's incredibly out of breath, so it's like whatever she was trying to deliver was nowhere near as good as what I think she can deliver. And basically just saying like, see, Tony, see, this is what's going to happen. But, you know, like I said, she's blown up, so it's like she can barely even get that out. And so Tony Storm comes out, and she takes out Britt, and whoever the other person in their group is, Rebby, Ruby, Raba, some fucking other person that just basically gets destroyed. Her and Britt get like automatic, like, hey, these guys are these top talents, but then they just get automatically destroyed basically by Storm. And Storm comes in, and she's fighting Hayter, and then she tries to put her in a clover leaf, and she's rolling her over, and she can't get it because Hayter's leg is the size of Tony Storm. So she can't even get the move on, and they're trying to like sell it, and it's like she couldn't even get it on the right way, and it just looks, doesn't look very good. And then Britt comes in, and because they have a spot ready where Britt's going to hit her with the championship, and you can see Tony looking back as Britt's sitting there. They're both looking at each other for a good couple minutes, and then Britt goes. So either somebody was afraid of something happening, or somebody wasn't ready for something. I don't know, but either way, it didn't look very good. The story behind it was told, but in the terms of execution, definitely either they need to gain each other's trust or something, or learn to pull the trigger when you're supposed to pull the trigger. But they waited too long, and it just looked kind of goofy. So after this match, they do another backstage segment. This time it's with Jericho, and they play the footage of the MVP football player from Dynamite talking about being called out, and like literally that's all the video is. It's just him being like, "Yeah, I got called out," and then the video ends. So it's like, give him a fucking $1,000 check and say, "Hey, just say a couple words about us." Like, I don't fucking know, but Jericho then throws back to Claudio and Danielson's challenge, stating that he loves the idea, but he wants to add a member of his group to even the odds. So that way, Claudio and Danielson can just beat the fuck out of each other, and then that'll just leave Jericho and Sammy, his little buddy, to basically take the fall. And Guevara kind of gives him a weird look, and so either they're setting something up, a turn, I don't know. Does it, at this fucking point, does it fucking matter? Like, why do they have to, like, you just had Garcia try to leave. Now what? Sammy is gonna leave, and I don't think anybody at this point is gonna fucking cheer the fucking guy. Okay, he's a heel. Like, either you got to give him some time off because of some sort of angle to get him to be turned into a babyface, so people can forget some of the other dumb shit that he's been doing. But if the plan is to have him not do the job for Jericho, and we're supposed to cheer him as a babyface because then Jericho whips the shit out of him, like, at this point it doesn't really fucking matter. The whole Ring of Honor shit in Jericho. Yeah. After this happens, Ricky Starks, who I'm a big fan of, he comes out to the ring, and he has something on his mind. That's what the commentator said. He has something on his mind, and he set this up to have this TV time. I mean, I'm glad he's coming out and speaking, but the way they're describing the reason why he's talking is kind of fucking stupid. Like, he has something on his mind, so he talked to Tony Khan. He talked to people so that way he could have this spot reserved for him. When it's like, you guys have Renee back there, you have a couple other people that can do interviews. Like, no, we have to do this in front of a live crowd. Ricky starts it off by saying like he's hearing people, asking about him. And not just asking about him, but they're asking for him to be on the TV, because they like him. People like Ricky Starks, and that's because he delivers. And then he does something cool, and he does that little pose, and he says, "And because I do the pose," which people cheered, and I like it because he's got charisma. He's got a personality, and it's great. And people cheering him, and he says that he loves everyone. because they're telling him that he loves them and he loves them back. And then he goes on to tell the crowd that he's entering this eliminator tournament for the AEW World Championship. He gets a little pop. It's like, yeah, cool. We're finally seeing Starks. He's going to go on, even though he just got the shit kicked out of him by Hobbs. I like the fact that he's doing this, but it's like, for me, when I'm watching it, I don't take it seriously. I don't think that, oh yeah, he's going to win. Like, if he does, I'll be happy. Anyway. So he keeps going on with his promo. He's talking about the pillars of AEW, crumbling, and why people are talking about it. People are like, oh, he's talking about the shit, and he says some stuff about Moxley and his blood drying out, and he calls out MJF, but along the way, he kind of just stumbles and just kind of feels like this is another example of either he had something planned out that he wanted to say, and he forgot it, or they wanted him to say something, and he forgot it. He didn't hit something the right way, and it did ultimately affect, his promo, because people started off hot for it, and by the end of it, people weren't cheering as loud. People weren't as invested. I mean, like I said, I really, if he wins the tournament, good. Fucking this guy is talented and he deserves something. Like, the only thing to his name is the fucking FTW championship that fucking didn't even matter. And the way they handled it towards the end doesn't even fucking matter either. So they go to another backstage segment, and like I said, all these segments, you can tell were filmed at a different time. It has a different feel to it. Like, you can just tell. This is when I watched Rampage, it felt like I was watching like WWE main event or Superstars or whatever. Like, this is the stuff they film in between, and you could just tell this is not a very good produced show. And so, like I said, they go back to this. They do another backstage segment. This time it's with Sammy. He gets asked, "So what do you think about Jericho?" He's like, "We're not going to talk about that now. Like, just know that regardless of what happens, the Ring of Honor World Title is going to come back to the JSA." The Jericho, or the JS, the Jericho Appreciation Society. But he wants to take this time because he wants to address Bryan Danielson. He says, "Yo, man, you beat me, but now I want to challenge you to a rematch, a best 2 out of 3 falls. So that way you can beat him twice." And that's it. Nothing else. Not that Danielson fucked his wife. I just want to have a rematch. Because this is a wrestling show. We just want to wrestle here. That's it. Okay. Well, it'd be nice. Maybe fucking Danielson, hey, dude, I've been seeing you on TV, just losing. If Garcia can tap you out, then I bet I can beat you twice. Just something, please. There's nothing wrong with it, guys. Just to have an angle, just to have a story, just to have a fucking story. So after Guevara's wonderful challenge to Bryan Danielson, you got another backstage segment. This time it's the Samoan guys, the Embassy. They're going to take on Warjo, the wrestling world's hottest tag, and Embassy, or whatever their name is just kind of talking shit. Blah, blah, you guys aren't ready, yada, 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 yada. And then Joe goes to talk, and Wardlow just slaps him and is like, "We're not here for talking." Joe gives him a weird look. Now, if it's true, we know that these two were paired because one of them's going to turn heel. Probably fucking Joe going to turn heel, go for that TNT title. They're going to have a little program, obviously, or cost him the title, something. Basically, Wardlow's like, "Nah, man, fuck you. We're going to kick you, like, basically kick your ass. But Hobbs, if you think you have the upper hand on me, I don't think you have the balls to do it for a third time." And oh boy, we're going to see if he does it for a third time. So then after this backstage segment, we got Excalibur literally having mouth diarrhea once again, spewing out the whole entire match card for Full Gear, then trying to set up Dynamite, which let's just go and take a look at this. Let's just go ahead and hype this up. We got the acclaimed AEW World Tag Team Champions and FTR, the ROH, AAA, and IWGP World Tag Champions versus Swerve in Our Glory, Austin and Colton Gunn. Now this match, I do think is going to be good. I definitely think everyone in here is talented enough. I have my reservations on Keith Lee, but I know for a fact that his weaknesses are going to be covered up by the acclaimed FTR, Austin and Colton, and Swerve. So, I think this is going to be the star match for next week. Then, after that, we're going to have a face-to-face with Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, and Sriracha, face-to-face with Tony Schiavone. So this past week with Renee, couldn't do it then. But this week, now that it's Tony Schiavone, some weird, creepy grandpa dick energy that Britt Baker and him have, that's going to be the decider, so they can have a face to face. Most likely. Oh, and is this going to be a face to face in the ring? Because I'm sorry, guys. The first couple promos that Saraya has done? Yeah, she's going to want some prepared material. And then we are going to have Bryan Danielson versus Sammy Guevara in a best 2 out of 3 rematch, that just because we like to wrestle. Which, honestly, Sammy is a good enough performer, and so is Danielson, even though most of the shit he's done in AEW has really just been fucking boring out of this fucking world, that it's probably going to be a decent enough match. You'll probably get at least some enjoyment out of it. And then, man, and this is what I was talking about. I don't know why AEW does this, but they have to hype up when someone's going to address the crowd. Next week, we hear from Jon Moxley, guys. We're going to hear from Jon Moxley. Like, the thing is, see, like, if this is like an every once in a while thing, I could totally get it. They're just trying to do something. This is literally every week. We're going to hear from this person. This person's going to talk. We're going to hear from this person. It's like, fucking just do it. And then, just like what I was talking about, Sky Blue versus Jamie Hayter. Like, why? Why have this on Dynamite? Why do this? Does she have to wrestle? Like, does she have to wrestle Sky Blue? Like, are you guys that low on someone to wrestle her? You have to have her wrestle a fucking unknown person that she shouldn't even have. Like, unless this is the match where she's gonna fucking dominate, just don't see it. I just don't see this being like something that I want to tune in for. I just don't care whatsoever. Now it's finally time for the Gates of Agony, the Embassy, to wrestle Wardlow. And they're trying to play this up that Wardlow, he's more concerned about Hobbs, so he's not really in this match. And he's getting he's getting some offense put on him. But I just want to touch. Jim Ross sounds bored out of his fucking gourd. Oh, that's a wrestling maneuver that'll get... Like, he's just going through the fucking motions. And then you got Tony Schiavone. Did you see this other guy? I mean, look at his look at his abs. The definition, like, Tony, we don't fucking care about how this fucking guy looks. Like, no one's like going like, Jesus Christ, look at, I mean, maybe some of the women and maybe some men out there, yeah, but like, we're here to fucking see a wrestling match, not talk about the fucking size of this guy's penis, dude. So for most of this match, there's really nothing going on. It's just they're just telling the story that basically Wardlow's main priority right now is he wants to wrestle Powerhouse Hobbs. And basically Joe was just like, okay, like, Wardlow, we're having a match. Let's focus on this match. Let's beat these fucking guys, and then let's go take care of Powerhouse. But it for some reason just not sinking in with goddamn Hobbs has pissed Wardlow off. He's unchained. He's unhinged. So really nothing even happens. For me watching this, I don't see anything in this match that's even like really, okay, cool. We're getting to the point where we understand what's going on. Wardlow wants to wrestle Hobbs, and he's going to do whatever it takes. That attitude isn't sitting well with Joe, and Joe doesn't like that. Even at the end of this match, Wardlow pushes Joe out of the way. Joe has this look on his face, basically being like, what the fuck, dude? Why'd you push me? So the seeds have been planted. Like I said, this is either going one or two ways. Wardlow is going to lose the title to Joe, or they're going to have a match over it, or Joe's going to make Wardlow lose the title, and then Wardlow's going to wrestle Joe, and then go back after Hobbs. Hobbs just comes out. He just comes out, and they just stare at each other. End the show. I mean, that's it. Hobbs has been coming out here beating shit out of Wardlow. He's just going to come out. He's just going to talk to him. That's it. That's the end of it. So, what do I think about this episode of Rampage? I didn't watch the previous weeks that was heralded as like the worst Rampage ever, which I think after watching this one, I can only assume that the rest of them are around the same quality. And I think that overall, like the overall Rampage can be good, but it suffers from the same thing that Dynamite suffers from, and that's just no direction. There's nothing. This show just happens because it's a show on TV. I will say this, I think that even though I'm not a big fan of Orange Cassidy, I do think that the match that he had was decent enough with Katsuyori Shibata. I thought that was pretty good. I mean, thumbs in the middle for me personally, honestly, just thumbs in the middle. I didn't think either way. I thought the build of it was kind of fucking stupid, calling it a dream match when you don't even explain anything. You have to have commentary, Mr. Excalibur fucking going fucking 90 miles a minute to fucking say everything that he's trying to say, or that they're trying to tell him to say. The backstage segments were okay. I think Tony Storm's was the best because that actually has a story behind it, and that's a story that like I can follow it at least. The stuff with Chris Jericho and the Ring of Honor title and Claudio and Danielson and Guevara, I don't care. Guevara can go after the Ring of Honor title because that's where I see him. But Jericho and Danielson and those guys should be going after other titles that matter to AEW, not Ring of Honor. The women's match, I think, could have been better if they had just beat the shit out of those two. Jamie Hayter, Britt Baker beating the shit out of Sky Blue and Madison Rayne. I think that would have been fine. But then again, it just got bogged down. And the end of it with the hitting Storm with the title, that just didn't look good. It just was botched. I don't know. It's like they were holding their breath. And then the main event. This was definitely like a match. But I'd rather have seen Wardlow versus Hobbs. Why do they need to have a tag match? I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something. But I think everyone would have wanted to pay attention to this Rampage if they said this Friday it's going to be Hobbs versus Wardlow for the TNT Championship. That's what Hobbs wants, and Wardlow is not afraid to put it up because he knows he can beat Hobbs. That would have been good. And then the whole night you're building this up that, Wardlow is blind with rage and Joe is trying to calm him down and he's not listening. And so what happens is Joe's like, that's a lesson to teach you. You're going to lose this fucking title tonight, and fucks him over. People would be talking about that. I don't think people are talking about fucking Big Titty Hobbs coming out, just talking from the entrance ramp to Wardlow. And Joe looking, man, why the fuck did you push me? So anyway, that's Rampage.